I've got access to my little writing tool. And then also getting in the habit of labeling our paper, Inequalities, Lesson 1, Solve Inequalities by Adding and Subtracting. Those of you who are in person, if you could please close your Chromebooks while we do the lesson, that would be great. I do think a lot of this is actually going to be review for you. The only difference with what we're going to do today is instead of having an equal sign in the equation, we're going to have an inequality symbol. And I'm going to talk to you about those inequality symbols. So again, today we're going to talk about solving inequalities just by adding and subtracting. Okay, and then I'm going to ask that you follow today's lesson, take notes, and then you're going to have some homework to do, a worksheet to do. So Inequalities, Lesson 1, Solving by Adding and Subtracting. Now, those of you who are here in person, again, actually everybody, while we are taking notes, remember, try to use things that, abbreviations that can help. So for adding, I would just do add. Subtracting, I might abbreviate with SUB or use a plus or a minus symbol. And then by the end of today's lesson, you should be able to add, solve equations, solve inequalities by adding and subtracting. All right, here we go. So what are inequality symbols? They have these little sideways V shapes, right? So the alligator, when you were little, you probably learned that whatever number's on the open side needs to be the bigger side because the alligator eats the bigger symbol, right? All of these are inequality symbols. So this sideways V this way is the less than symbol. And when we talk about graphing it, is it really hard to see that little circle right there? If I can make that bigger. When we talk about graphing less than, hold on 1 second, I'm gonna, if I can grab that and make those circles a little bit bigger. When we talk about graphing less than or greater than, yeah, there you go. All right. There's an open circle on the end of those symbols. Okay. When we talk about the less than or equal to, it's a closed dot. Because that, what we're saying is that inequality equals that point and anything bigger than it. All right, that's better. Not perfect, but better. All right, so again, the less than symbol is the sideways V pointing to the left-hand side. If we had a variable, we would read it X is less than whatever the number is. Okay, and then we have an open circle on that number, and then we would shade to the left-hand side for whatever that number is representing. The greater than is the same thing, except it's an open circle and shading to the right. Less than or equal to means it includes the number we're talking about, and then you shade to the left. And then greater than or equal to is a closed circle and then shading to the right. Hey, Christian, can you do me a favor again, please? You close that screen for us? Thank you. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you. All right, so again, we call these inequalities. Notice it's different than the equal symbol. And this whole shading thing, I'll show you what it means here in just a moment after we do our example. Those of you who are at home, if you click the thumbs up when you are ready to move on, so I know, please. Those of you in person, can you show me thumbs up if you're ready? You guys see these little arrows up here? Yeah, okay. They're just a little more narrow than maybe I would have wanted them. All right, so again, the one pointing to the left is less than. The other thing that you can think of with this one is if I don't know where the pens are down there. If I drew a capital letter L right here, the less than symbol is just a tilted capital L. So that's one more way to remember it. Okay, so the sideways V is less than, the open sideways V is greater than, less than or equal to, and then greater than or equal to. And these slides are posted in Schoology, so if you need to go back and refer to them, you can go back there. So let's have our first example. We're going to solve the inequality P plus 8 is less than or equal to 18. So again, what's the only difference with solving inequalities is instead of an equal sign in here, we've got this inequality symbol. And what it's saying is whatever number we put in here for P, when we add 8 to it, the solution is going to be less than or equal to 18. That's what that means. We're going to solve inequalities the exact same way that we solve equations. So we need to get rid of this plus 8. So what's the opposite or inverse of adding 8? You got it. So we're going to subtract 8 from both sides. Again, the reason why we do that subtracting 8 from both sides is we need to get that plus 8 to cancel. And the subtracting 8 undoes this addition. And again, whatever we do to one side, we need to do to the other. So we know that plus 8 and that minus 8 cancel. It makes a 0 pair, and it leaves us with the solution P is less than or equal to 10. So again, nothing is different here. If it was just P plus 8 equals 18, you would subtract 8 from both sides. The solution, which means if it was just an equal, 10 would be the only answer that works. But because we have this inequality symbol, P is less than or equal to 10, it could be, yes, it could be 10 or any number smaller than 10. As Brody just said, 9 would be a solution. -3 would be a solution. Any number that's less than or equal to 10 would work. Now, we can also graph this on a number line. So as you can see here, I'm going to move this line up, I think, or not. There. As you can, what? I'm out of practice, people. I am out of practice. Sorry. All right, so the first thing that you do is you recognize which inequality symbol you have. Because it is the less than or equal to symbol, notice I have a closed dot here on the number 10. But the difference with inequalities says it can be either to the left or to the right as well. Because this is less than or equal to 10, I'm going to shade to the left-hand side of that 10. Okay, there's like that little thin little red line right there. Okay, this is telling somebody that when they look at this solution, they know that 10 or any number less than 10 is going to make it work. Now, I know 12 isn't going to work because if I do 12 plus 8, that equals 20. And is 20 less than or equal to 18? Nope. So then I know that, for example, 12 isn't going to be a part of the solution. And that's it. So you're going to look at the inequalities and you're going to first of all solve it. And then you're going to graph it. And when you graph it, you have to decide, am I using an open circle or a closed circle? And then am I going to shade it to the left or shade it to the right? Okay, so those are your decisions or choices that need to be made. All right, what questions do you have about solving inequalities? All right, so what I need you to do now is you are actually going to go into Schoology. There's two things here that you need to do. One is I need everybody to make sure that you click on the DUR inequalities. That's going to make a new digital unit record like we've used. in previous units. Remember, that's where you're going to add in those assignments. So if let me open up that DUR so we're all on the same page. There's some serious lag in my computer this morning. Loading. All right, so what you are going to do is go into Schoology. And you're going to click on assignment. Did I label it assignment 0? No. The DUR5 inequalities. And as a reminder, this is what it's going to look like. Once it loads. Okay, remember these? Whoops. No, what happened? Look at you people in person. Hey, in-person friends, go ahead and grab your grab your Schoologies. Grab your Chromebooks and go ahead and go into Schoology. Hey, those of you who are at home, switch over into Schoology. You might need to refresh your screen. Wow, let me get... I got too many things going on here. So go into Schoology and then refresh your screen. So what color folder is it this week? Brody, is it white? Yeah, white.